After long days of waiting, Quang finally returns to Linda, filling her heart with both joy and fear. But can he make up for the pain his disappearance caused her? Will the worry and longing of Quang's mother and Linda over the past time turn into joy now that he's back? Or are these wounds too deep to heal? Can Linda and Quang's love overcome this challenge? Will they be able to rebuild the trust and happiness they lost? Or will everything remain a scar that can't be erased? These questions will be answered in the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support the emotional journey of Linda and Quang's love. And stay tuned for some unexpected moments. Quang barely made it off the last bus of the day. His body was exhausted from the long journey, but the worry still gnawed at him. Instead of rushing straight home, he stopped at a small roadside cafe where the plastic green chairs were always ready to welcome anyone needing a break. He bought a bottle of water, sat down, and closed his eyes for a moment to gather himself after the long trip. The most important thing now was to call his mother and let her know he was okay, so she wouldn't worry and stay up every night waiting anxiously. He borrowed the cafe owner's phone, and despite the heaviness in his heart, Quang tried his best to stay calm as he called home. "Mom, I'm back. Don't worry anymore. I'm okay." The words were simple, but they carried so much those days of no contact, the restlessness between the two of them. Everything was released in those few short words. After the call, he felt a little lighter, but there was still something important to do. Quang asked a customer sitting nearby for a ride home. "Could you give me a lift?" he asked with a gentle smile. The man agreed immediately without hesitation. The motorcycle started rolling down the long roads, turning into smaller alleys heading toward Quang's house. His heart raced with anticipation. Even though he knew his mother was fine after so many days without contact, he couldn't help but worry. Quang paid the man and hurriedly got off the bike, walking towards the familiar house. It looked the same as always. Nothing had changed, but the atmosphere felt strangely distant. He walked around the yard, but his mother was nowhere to be seen. The anxiety began to rise again, and he grew more anxious. He continued down to the end of the garden where his mother usually worked every afternoon. And there she was, his mother tending to the fish in the small pond behind the house. Though it was a peaceful scene, Quang couldn't help but feel a stir inside. He took a deep breath, then called out, "Mom." The sound of his voice startled her, and she turned around, her eyes wide in surprise, almost as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her body trembled slightly, but in a second, she rushed toward him saying nothing, only wrapping her arms around him, as if afraid he would disappear again. "Quang, my son, I can't believe you're back," she said, choking on her words, her voice full of emotion. Quang, equally moved, felt a sense of relief and comfort he hadn't felt in a long time as he was embraced by his mother after so many days apart. They didn't say anything more, just stood there in each other's arms, as if making up for all the lost time. After a moment, Quang finally spoke. "I'm home now, Mom. Don't worry, everything's okay." She nodded gently, her eyes still filled with tears. They slowly left the garden and entered the house. Quang sat in the familiar chair, and his mother made him tea, asking about the days that had passed his health and his life. They didn't rush, just talked as if nothing important had ever happened, as if there had never been a separation. Quang felt as though all his worries had been washed away, and the exhaustion from the journey began to fade. The two of them continued to drink tea, talking about each other about the days gone by, and Quang felt more than ever that after all the time apart, every moment of peace with his mother now was more precious than ever. After a long conversation, Quang felt his strength returning. He stood up, decided to take a shower to wash away the fatigue from the long journey. The only thing on his mind now was Linda. Quang wanted to surprise her to make her happy and reassure her when she saw him back. His mother watched him, knowing that now Quang had only one goal: to see Linda. She understood and didn't want to keep him any longer. Quickly, she grabbed the phone and called Linda to share the good news that Quang had come home so she wouldn't worry anymore. On the other end, Linda was in her own home. When she heard Quang's mother, she was surprised but overjoyed. "Quang is back. Really, I'm so happy." Linda replied, her voice full of emotion, as if she could burst with joy. She couldn't contain her feelings. She had been worried all week, thinking something had happened to Quang. But now, hearing he was home, all her concerns melted away. Without hesitation, Linda quickly stood up, locked the door, and hurried outside. Her heart raced as she thought about the moment she would reunite with Quang. She wanted to see him immediately, to feel the warmth of the man she loved after so many days apart. A whole week without seeing him had built up so much longing that she couldn't sit still. Quang had just finished his shower, the refreshing feeling lifting his spirits. He stepped outside, ready to meet Linda. When he said goodbye to his mother and left, she just smiled and watched him go. She knew that Quang would soon be back with the woman he loved, and though there was joy in her heart, she also reminded him to be cautious with his decisions. Quang went to the small convenience store near his house, where he could pick up a few things for his special meeting with Linda. He wanted to surprise her, maybe with a small gift or something simple but meaningful. He walked around the store, picking out items he thought Linda would like. But in his heart, what mattered most wasn't the material gifts, but his presence after the long time apart. He hoped Linda would feel the love and care he had for her, even if everything wasn't perfect. To him, that was all he could offer right now. Leaving the store, Quang stepped outside with a new sense of joy. His heart was filled with excitement, hoping that when he met Linda, they could start fresh, putting the painful days behind them and focusing on the future. As Quang left the store, he hurried toward Linda's house. His heart raced, and he couldn't wait any longer. Though he didn't know what surprises might come, he was certain that once he saw Linda, he would be able to leave behind all his worries and fatigue. Linda walked quickly, her heart racing, as she neared Quang's house. The mixed thoughts and emotions inside her made it impossible to contain her anticipation. Just a little further, and she saw Quang's familiar motorcycle from a distance. She moved closer, and at that exact moment, Quang also got off his bike. They stood frozen for a moment, staring at each other as if they couldn't believe their eyes. Quang quickly put his helmet down, said nothing, and rushed toward Linda, pulling her into his arms instinctively. The feeling of holding her, of being with her after so many days apart, made Quang's heart race. All the pent-up emotions he had been carrying suddenly exploded inside him. Linda felt the warmth of Quang's body, the embrace of his arms. She couldn't hold back her emotions either, wrapping her arms tightly around him, as if trying to make up for the lonely and fearful days. Silent tears began to fall, a mix of sadness for the past and joy that he had finally come back. She was both sad and angry, questioning why he had made her worry like this, but deep down she still loved Quang and cared for him, even though everything had changed. "Quang, why did you leave for so long?" Linda asked through a choked voice full of pain. But just a moment later, she buried her face in his chest, as if wanting to erase all the worries to forget the painful months. Quang looked at her, his gaze gentle but full of regret. "I'm sorry, Linda. I didn't know what to do, but I thought about you so much. Every minute, every second I missed you, and I regret not letting you know." He lowered his head, unable to look her in the eyes, the guilt rising inside him. Linda gently lifted her face, looking into Quang's eyes, feeling the sincerity in his words. "I was so worried, every night. I couldn't sleep, not knowing where you were, if you were safe," she said, her voice trailing off as she remembered those sleepless nights. Quang gently took her hand, silently, listening to every word she said. "I'm sorry, I really am. I know I made you suffer a lot, but now I'm here, and I won't make you worry anymore," he promised, his eyes showing determination. At that moment, there was no more distance between them, no more worries or fears. All the pent-up emotions, the long nights apart, were now compensated with a tight hug and a promise that they would never be apart again. They exchanged loving glances, smiles slowly appearing on their faces, signaling that their love was still intact despite all the trials. When they stood back, Quang looked at Linda and asked softly, "Are you still mad at me?" Linda looked at him for a moment and then shook her head. "I'm not mad, just worried." And then they both smiled together, as if all the pain and worries had been completely erased. Quang pulled Linda closer, gently tucking her hair behind her ear, his eyes never leaving hers. "I love you, Linda. I will never make you worry again, I promise." They stood there saying nothing more, just feeling the love between them. A love that had overcome every challenge, shown in every action, every look, every word. And now, when they were reunited, nothing could stop that love.